Civilization is a hopeless race to deliver remedies for the evils we have created. Who said that? Was it Ban Ki-moon? No. Was it President Obama? No. Was it Jeff Sachs? It should have been, it could have been, but it wasn't. It was actually a man writing several hundred years ago, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, writing about what he saw as the biggest predicament facing his century: inequality. And we're here this week facing the biggest predicament of our century: climate change. And what a week! Were you on the march? Who was on the march? Yeah, you were on the march. I was there with you. 300,000 people, not only in this city, but across 2,000 cities in the world. Protests spilling over in places to civil disobedience. People are angry that there is not enough action. Well, here we are at the summit. And what did we see at the summit? We saw Bob Orr, Assistant Secretary General at the United Nations, put this in a larger context. He said that the world is facing more crises today than in the entire history of the United Nations. And one of those crises, perhaps the biggest crisis we face, is indeed climate change. And let's not call it climate change. It's a climate crisis we face. At the summit yesterday, we heard about the scale of that crisis. Sharon Burrow, the Secretary General of the International Trade Union Congress, spoke about the hundreds of millions of people around the world living on the front lines of fear. Nicolas Hulot, who is the special representative to the President of France on a planet under pressure, spoke about how nations will be unable to resist the changes they have to make in the future. But it's not all about threats and danger. It is also about opportunities, co-benefits, and dividends. And health is at the center of those opportunities. We heard a fantastic example yesterday from the Vice Mayor of Shenzhen Municipality in China. His city, over the space of a few decades, went from just a few thousand people to now over 10 million. Impossible to sustain that kind of population growth over such a small period. Yes? No. No, it is possible. And how did he do it, along with his colleagues in government? By choosing a path of judicious urban planning, low-density housing, energy efficiency, quality economic growth, not just fast economic growth. And he has helped to put his city of over 10 million people on a path to a sustainable future. But if we're going to think about the future, we have to anticipate what that future is going to be. Now, we heard earlier about these new predictions for population by the end of this century. But it's not just the number that matters. What we've learned in the last week is that we have to reconceptualize the stability of our planet. We thought that the human population would stabilize by the end of this century, and we now know that it's unlikely that it will do so. And the great pressure that will come is on already vulnerable parts of this planet, in particular sub-Saharan Africa, where currently there are about 1 billion people living, but by 2100 that number will go up to as high as 4 to 6 billion people. And that pressure is going to create environmental, economic, political, and social upheaval, and an upheaval for health. At the center of our vision for that upheaval for health, and also at the center of our solutions, lies nutrition. And we've already heard the statistics around undernutrition and overnutrition, but it's worse than just the numbers of children who are stunted or wasted or overweight or obese. Because what is driving the future of health is what happens in childhood for adults. If we get nutrition wrong for children, children are on a trajectory that is unsustainable. 200 million children unable to fulfill their potential. The origins of adult disease, the diseases you and I are living with and are going to live with, lie in our childhood. And let me circle back for a second to Rousseau and inequality. The single most important way to reduce inequality on this planet is investing in the future of our children and getting nutrition right for our children. So these things join together beautifully. At the summit yesterday, Gro Harlem Brundtland, the architect of our vision for sustainable development, made the strong case for why we need to elevate these discussions to a political level. Each of us must be a political activist to get these issues onto the global and national agendas. Each of us has a responsibility to press for change, to press our ministers for change, to act if we're any kind of professional working with the public or individuals, myself as a doctor, with patients. How do we transmit our messages? It is our responsibility to do so. Charles Darwin wrote 150 years or so ago now about the implications of his discoveries regarding evolution. And Darwin said this, that our species in the distant future will be more perfect than it is today, when he wrote, well, we are that future. You look pretty good. You do look pretty good, but are you perfect? Oh, you're close. You're close to being perfect, but maybe not absolutely perfect. And when I feel anxious about whether we have the ability to change, I actually go back and think of the founder of the journal I now work for, a man called Thomas Wackley, who wrote inspiringly in a period in the early part of the 19th century about the intersection of science and society. And he wrote that our task was to end the age of mental delusion, as he put it, and to ensure that mystery and concealment no longer encouraged defeat. What we have done this evening, thanks to Gunhilda's leadership, thanks to all of you being here, and thanks to the hundreds of millions of people on this planet who are waking up to the threat and the opportunity before us. What we are all doing is ending this age of mental delusion. And we are making sure that no longer will mystery and concealment encourage defeat. For we can win. We can seize the prize before us and grasp the greatest opportunity that our species has ever been presented. It begins tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you to you.